And our space age society is worldwide. The Chinese are launching rockets into space. The Russians are doing it. The Europeans are doing it. We're doing it. And we learn from one another, and we compete with one another. And today we still cannot make bronze as hard as steel. Somebody in the past did. We see in biblical times that they were artificers in brass and iron. All right, now in Iran, bronze works of art containing arsenic. That's a complicated procedure to incorporate the metal arsenic into bronze works, whether they're of art or something else. In Rome, valves up to 80 pounds made of zinc-free, lead-rich, anti-corrosion, anti-friction tin bronze. These are water valves. These people had pipes. Now let me show you something. I'm a plumber. When I go into a house and I plumb this house, we used to use, in this country, steel pipe. Galvanized steel pipe. But when we had a valve, we made it out of brass. We still do. It's true, you can get plastic valves, but that's cheap John trash. If you want a good valve to regulate water or steam, you use brass valves. A brass valve will survive. The steel won't. The steel will corrode. It rusts. In fact, when you plumb a house with steel pipe in 30 years, you have to come back and repair it at the least. In 60 years, those steel pipes will be totally plugged up. You've got to replumb the house. That's why we've gotten away from steel pipe. It's expensive, hard to work with. It plugs up. It corrodes. It rusts. It develops leaks. And not too long a period of time either, 20, 30 years. That's why we've gone to copper and plastic, because it lasts longer. How long do you think plastic is going to last in an archaeological dig? Why, plastic is cheap trash. Why, that stuff disintegrates in the sun, for crying out loud. All right. Now, aluminum and platinum. In China, 297 AD, an aluminum belt, 85% pure. Aluminum metal ornaments, almost pure. Aluminum, boys and girls, is made from electricity. I mean, that's telling you something. That's 297 AD in China. These people are making aluminum. In Pakistan, an aluminum cup and thimble have been uncovered. And in Ecuador, an aluminum harp, box, and other objects. In Ecuador, rolls of intricately figured sheer metal in rolls 15 to 30 feet long, composed of smaller 4-foot sheets, artfully riveted together, of gold, a unique untarnished silver, and an unknown alloy with the appearance of aluminum. All of these are ancient aluminum artifacts. However, aluminum was supposedly not discovered until 1803, and it was not obtained successfully in pure form until 1854. It is very difficult to isolate from bauxite as a pure metal without using a lot of electric power. Electric power. Now, listen, boys and girls, we in the modern age discovered aluminum in 1803. 1903, 2003. We've only had aluminum for 200 years. And these people in 297 had aluminum in China. That's 297 BC. Now, the knowledge of this technology is destroyed by the Romans, who are portrayed today as the great discoverers, the great civilization. No, the Romans were the great destroyers. If the Russians were to take over, or the Chinese take over the world, they will destroy American civilization. They will kill us, and they will burn our libraries. They will destroy our civilization. That's what the Chinese are going to do. That's what the Russians will do. That's what Adolf Hitler, I'm pretty sure, would have done. These people, these despots, these politically oriented socialist empires, you know, they're not the benefactors of mankind. They're not the progenitors of science and technology. They use that science and technology that they have for weaponry and destruction. Mankind has been running around destroying himself for 5,000 years. That's what God's been telling us. You people can't rule yourselves. What's more, it appears that we have locations in the world, there's 4 or 5 of them now that's been discovered, where they go out here in the desert and they find glass. They find glass. We'll take a look at weaponry here pretty soon. This glass that they find over here is the result of nuclear explosions. So, you know, we go down here to New Mexico, where we Americans set off nuclear weapons in 1945, or over in Nevada. You know, when we were exploding bombs above ground. Well, underneath it, the heat fuses the sand together and makes glass. And so here's archaeologists, you know, they're running around the world, and they come across a site over here, and here's this huge body of glass out here in a desert area, and they say, well, where the hell does this come from? What is this? This is the result of a nuclear explosion. So now do they break off some pieces, bring it into the museum, and say, look, boys and girls, we have evidence of nuclear explosions in the past. That doesn't fit with the theory of evolution. You see, mankind just discovered nuclear energy in this last century, 20th century. And if you come along and you say, well, wait a minute, it appears that we had nuclear energy back here at some time in the past, that would indicate that mankind was smarter in the past, then became dumb, and now has become smarter again in the future. That's a different syntax than the story that we're getting out of evolutionary philosophy, where man is evolving from apes, and then there's an intermediate species, and he's getting smarter and smarter and better, and finally he discovered nuclear energy. But there's more. A 25-foot-long sheet of white gold, an alloy of platinum, gold, and silver, was found by the Spaniards. In Ecuador, they found an alloyed platinum and gold objects. In Peru, they found ornaments and other objects of platinum. Europeans did not learn how to alloy this hard, very high melting, 1773 degrees centigrade mineral until 1804. All right, now hang on a second now. Down here in Peru, these Indians, we look upon these Indians, they tell us they were savages. They've got platinum that melts at 1700 degrees. They've alloyed it with gold and other metals. We couldn't do that until 1803. Well, how in the hell did the Spaniards get hold of this stuff already alloyed by these Indians over here? I'll tell you how. They came over here and they found an advanced civilization, and they destroyed it. Somebody's going to say, well, how in the hell could they destroy an advanced civilization? Take a look at the United States of America. We're on the precipice of being destroyed. Look at the Roman Empire. It was a great civilization. It was a great empire. They ruled the world, and they were destroyed by the barbarians, for crying out loud. Take a look at Egypt, an advanced civilization, greatest nation in the world, destroyed. Every advanced civilization in the history of man has come and gone. That's the bottom line. The barbarians destroy the civilizations because the civilizations become overgrown and weak, politically, economically, physically. Keep in mind again, Europeans did not learn how to alloy this hard, very high melting mineral until 1804. Now it requires either a high heat furnace and forced air pumps, or alternatively, powder technology, only used in space technology since about 1966. Other metals. In Bactria, Afghanistan, 2nd century BC, nickel content coins of a metal which can only be extracted from its ore by complicated procedures. How in the hell do these backwards Afghanis over here have nickel content coins? And then in Egypt, non-corrosive iron, arms which did not rust. Such instruments were reported by the Arab historian Ibn Hokum to have been buried in vaults. This is non-corrosive iron. Now we have something like that today. They use it on the highways, and you'll see that it's a rust color. It's steel that is unpainted, but because of the alloys that they have put in it, it doesn't rust. It looks rusty, but it's not rust, and it's not rusting. That's fairly modern, and yet the Egyptians have got it or had it back in their civilization. Now that tells you something. If we have just discovered it in the last couple of hundred years, and somebody else had it 2,000 years ago, and they had technology 2,000 years ago, 3,000, 4,000 years ago, that was at least equal to ours, and maybe even a little bit superior. Maybe even a little bit better than that. Then there's iron farm implements from China, ancient castings of large pieces. There's an Ashko pillar, 1,500 years old, is a column of cast iron 6 tons and 23 feet 8 inches high. It's a huge casting job with hardly a trace of rust. Now this is iron. Now, 6 tons of iron is, 1,500 years old, 6 tons. That takes a pretty good foundry. Here's testimony to a sophisticated unknown science. Iron that was 1,500 years under tropical heat and monsoon should have corroded and that should have been done long ago. This is pure iron, which can be produced today only in tiny quantities and by electrolysis. So they go over here to take a look at this piece of iron. It's been there 1,500 years, hasn't corroded away. They take a look, it's pure iron, and say, well, we can only make this today in small quantities with electrolysis. And yet here's a 6-ton casting. Hey, that's not a bunch of monkeys dragging their knuckles on the ground down in New Guinea sticking bones through their nose, for crying out loud. I say it's time to wake up to reality. Now I've just hit the tip of the iceberg here. If you'd like to get a copy of the book so that you can get all of the metallurgy sites around the world, then go to bravenewbookstore.com. It's the easiest place to go. Just get on the website, bravenewbookstore.com, and they can sell you a copy of the book. You can probably find it. It's published here in 2004. I think this volume came from Brave New Bookstore. No, I'm not going to say that positively. They sent me about 20 or 30 books up here they wanted me to review. And this may be one of them, or it may have come from some other source. So bravenewbookstore.com, or you can go to Barnes & Noble or somebody else. Remember, this is Dead Men's Secrets, and the author is Jonathan Gray. Hey, I'm out of time, kids. We're going to have to leave it right there. Let me give you a final reminder here that you have been listening to the Law Hour and Editorial Review, and we're sponsored by the Gordon Law School of Isabella, Missouri. Now, the Law Hour is heard 7 days a week here in the United States. We're heard worldwide over the Internet daily. If you'd like more information about the Law School and the Law Hour, then please go to our website. Remember, that's georgegordon.org.